No! No! No!
Horror Pop Extravaganza.
Welcome back, ghosts, to another exciting episode of the Horror Pop Extravaganza. I am, as always, Pops Ghostly, and with me we have
Little Duke Spooky.
Lil Duke Spooky. All right, Duke
Spooky in
Spooky,
all the back.
I have something new that you don't know about. I
Oh,
okay,
I like
listen.
surprises.
I figured out how to do this on Zoom. I should have started it right when we started, but we're at approximately 28 minutes right now. We're trying to keep this thing to an hour. I'm going to keep an eye on it so we know we're not going too long, man. And I also want to take a quick, brief second to give a huge shout out to not only a big, he's a friend that I've got to know over the past couple of years, but just huge supporter of the show, just always putting our shit out there. Bruce, my boy Bruce. B Money, if you will. He's just and one of the nicest fucking human beings I've ever met, dude. Just like, you know, when you meet a genuine person, it's just like, I get it. Like, I've met a lot of those recently in my life. People who I can just, strangers that I'm like, my buddy Pickle, like Pickle's fucking amazing. And I could do a whole podcast just about how cool this cat is, but either way, Bruce, we love you, and we're gonna try, people. We're gonna try and keep it to somewhere near an hour because I think that's the right amount of time for our show. You know, it's not an hour and a half, it's not an hour and 45 minutes. Even though some of that shit's good, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty fucking good. We got to talk about that a little bit, but we will make this thing work. So today, little Duke, we are going into the Midwest, cornfields, desolation.
Yeah. Small
Clowns.
town minds, small town people.
Yes, small town minds, small town people. Not always. I've been in some fucking awesome small towns all over this country that are super cool, but we're going to talk about this one. This is a movie that I have not been, I don't want to say I haven't been looking forward to talking about, but if you are a big fan of this movie, you might have some words for me. Leave those, wherever in the comments. I don't know if that's what people still do, but you can leave words for me of what I may have missed or, your interpretation, because all art is subjective. People take different things. And I was even trying to think different times of life, because this really is the formula is the teen angst slasher rite of passage type of flick. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm too old for this shit. You know what I mean?
I thought that too.
I'm pretty good at putting my goggles on, my youth goggles. Even when I go back and watch stuff that I've seen a bunch, I'm pretty good at, suspending all the disbelief and shit. And I'm like, okay, so what was my, around that same time? And I'm like, we got fucking spoiled with Scream. We got the best, one of the best of the best. And then I kept thinking back, I'm like, A Nightmare on Elm Street. And I'm like, that got me thinking that there are these people in cinema. I believe there's a handful of them that are conduits for true motion picture art. And I think Wes Craven was one of them. I think he had an eye to put the right people around him to formulate, really cool ideas. And I'm like, because it was so human. Whereas in this, I'm like, I fucking hate everyone.
Right. That's what you're saying is like what Wes Craven did really good, and John Hughes was really good at it. Is that they were older dudes who were seasoned but could write youth,
right?
Because they could still tap into that youth feeling when the world is new and everything. This felt like Kevin Williamson writing teenagers from 1997 in 2025 when he's 68 years old.
Right.
That's what that.
And that's another great name right there. Kevin Williamson, I think without him, attached to Scream and shit like that. And the other Halloween H2O, he really revitalized that whole fucking franchise with that movie. But yeah, I think there's certain individuals, your Steven Spielbergs and shit. I was even thinking, Stephen King. I've been reading some Stephen King lately. I'm like, that man has a power that's bigger than most people will ever know to just open up and let it come through, to let these people
Yeah.
really live and be fleshed out characters. And for some readers, that's their problem with him. They're like, yo,
Yeah.
dude, get the fuck on with it. And I'm one of those people that was like, yo, by the time these people start dying, I'm like, no, I fucking loved them. Like they had real problems, real lives and stuff like that. So if you don't know, we're talking about Clown in a Cornfield from this year, from 2025. And this is one that I did pick up the book. I picked up the book based on the cover. I read the book. When I was done with the book, I was like, I was like, this fucking sucks. Like, I don't know what else to say outside of maybe my expectations were too high. Clowns are awesome and scary. I was hoping Phantom Clown or, one slasher clown.
Yeah.
We're going to spoil the hell out of this because it's the only way to talk about it. But before we get too much into Clown in a Cornfield and why I think we both preemptively almost agree, but it'll be fun listening to us try and, not go crazy. So why don't you, give us the IMDb, who's in it. And that's the one thing I will say about this movie is everybody who acted showed the fuck up. The performances, great. Special effects, great. Story. Okay.
All right. So this thing was created, written and directed by Eli Craig. And I don't know that name, but it's supposed to be
It's
like
based on the book, though. The source
right,
material is
based on the book.
Adam Crease or Creasy or something. Forgive me for not having that on the tip of my tongue,
He's
but yes.
he's listed as a writer too. Yeah, Adam Kazari, it looks like, but maybe I don't. You pronounced it totally
We
different.
try,
So,
we try, we try. I
yeah.
was just trying to pull something
I
out.
heard it was a huge departure from the book, and maybe we need to get into that later. But
Okay, I didn't think so, but
oh, okay, that's just what I
right,
heard. All right.
right.
The first person in this is Katie Douglas, coming out hot and hard. She's the one that stood out to me, and she's gonna have a great career in Hollywood. And we're gonna look back and be like, "Oh, dude, Katie Douglas is in this thing."
Yeah, she reminded me a bit of a young like Mira Sorvino, a little bit.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the, but yeah, chops. Everybody who was in it, I think, showed up and did exactly what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Well,
Playing her dad was Aaron Abrams. He was good. But he felt like somebody else. He felt like maybe like the dad in Casper.
was it Bill Pullman,
Bill
dad?
Pullman, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Yes.
The new hunky heartthrob, Carson McCormick. He played Cole.
Yeah, cool.
And that was a weird like third act twist.
We'll get there.
Vincent Muller was Rust.
I like Rust.
Rust. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's good.
I just want to hit the rabbits, George.
Yeah, very
Big
much so.
dude.
As soon as I saw this dude, I always get excited. Kevin Durant, dude, he's
Yeah.
just so weird. Like, I don't know what he really sounds like, but I think it's like, my name is Kevin Durant, and I have a weird accent.
Fair enough.
Will Sasso coming in hot, playing the
Dude, real
sheriff.
hot. Real hot. I know it's like Mike and Molly's fucking, or wait, no, is that him, Mike and Molly? Was he
I don't know that one
I
enough.
don't no. I don't think that was him. But this dude, I've seen in a ton of stuff, but he's normally funny as fuck. And so
Always funny. Yeah,
and so to see him be quite the opposite was interesting. I thought he carried it well though,
He was Curly in the remake of The Three Stooges,
Ah, yes.
and he was on Mad TV.
I still watch the Three Stooges every Saturday night from 6 to 8
Really?
before Svengoolie comes on. We were raised on it. My stepdad growing up, he was a big Stooges fan, and I still find that shit fucking it's unavoidable. I was a victim of circumstance.
If you're ever feeling bored on a Saturday night and you're rolling through your phone, just look up Will Sasso as Steven Seagal, and it is amazing.
Okay, I'm down.
Dude.
I'm down.
It's amazing.
I'm game.
Cassandra. Now we're getting into the friends. So Cassandra Potenza played Janet.
Okay.
Verity Marks. Verity. That's a cool.
Verity. Yeah, it is a cool name.
Ronnie, and she was fucking great.
Fucking
She was
hilarious. Yeah.
Alos Solanke plays Tucker, which was that guy got done dirty, dude. Do you think they told him
Was he
beforehand?
the guns guy?
No. He's the token black guy.
Ah, gotcha. Yes.
And they full on kill him first, and it's
I know.
so wrong, dude. Like, I get it that that's a trope, but like that's one
Right.
that we need to forget about.
Stuck in a 80s slasher movie. Yeah. And listen, we'll get to all of this because yeah, we will.
And let's see, Hunky has a long name, so I gotta look it up. Alexander Martin Deacon.
Okay. And he was Matt
He's Hunky.
Hunky. Okay. And then who's Cole's dad? He's a character actor that I know I've seen in a lot of different things.
That was Kevin Durant. That's
right. Never mind. Yeah. So
that's the dude that talks funny. All right. So you ready to hear what IMDb says this movie's about?
I guess.
I've been looking forward to this because I don't know what this movie's about.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I do. I don't know. Here it is. A fading Midwestern town in which I fucked that up. Let me try it again. A fading Midwestern town in which Friendo the Clown, a symbol of bygone success, reemerges as a terrifying scourge.
Bum, bum, bum.
Scourge. I haven't heard that word in a while.
A good word since what?
That
Like
is a great
pirate days, maybe?
Yeah. All right, I've got the scourgy.
The scourgy. So we cold open with some kids at a party in 1991. We've got the bonfire, we got the music, we got people making out, all the different things. And this girl's like, yo, fuck, let's go in the corn. As a kid who grew up in the Midwest, you don't go in the corn to fuck.
No, why would you? That's got to be the worst.
So he's like holding up a doobie, like, yeah, you want to get high? And she's like, fucking follow me, though, and throws her leather jacket on the ground. I'm like, it's going to get dewy. It's going to get
right.
You're going to ruin your jacket. Listen to the dad in me. You're going to ruin your fucking jacket. But then she goes out there and takes her shirt off down nothing to like a sports bra in the corn. And my body started, like, I've worked in corn. Being in corn like that, it just gets everywhere, dude. And those little, just all over you. It's not a comfortable situation, especially to be, doing it and stuff. And Friendo takes them out pretty quick. We see the clown and some good kills in this thing. There are some fun kills. It's shot well, it's fun. I am interested to see. I feel like there's going to be this like 4 to 5 year, maybe a little longer era of cinema that is hyper in your face.
Yeah.
And and I feel like the same way when we talked about Heretic, I'm like, there are so many competing ideas that start, bigger ideas, this idea, and we'll get into some of those. There are so many competing ideas that I wish it would have stayed this slasher right here.
Right.
And maybe a few ideas. I think maybe Cole and Russ' relationship could have been completely fleshed out into something, and we'll get to some of that later on. But the kill was great. I mean, this pitchfork straight up in the fucking air, like kid, with the moon behind him.
Right.
Hanging there. Splatter, clown in a cornfield. Jump to the present day, and we have Quinn and her dad are heading to Kettle Springs, where they're going to start their new life. We will learn that this is the result of Quinn's mom taking her own life, or not taking her own life, but dying of an overdose. Her dad, an ER doctor, could no longer take working in the ER. It was too much stress. So he's like, hey, we found a small little place out of nowhere. These two bitter back and forth quite a bit. She seems to change her mind radically. I think that's a very teenager thing to do. They captured that pretty good. But again, I'll reinforce this idea that I don't think anyone in this movie I liked.
No, everybody was fucking miserable. And yeah, nobody had anything redeeming about them. But here's the thing that just set me off from the very beginning, dude. We get our cold open. A cold open on a horror movie can literally, it's the last wipe on the last piece of toilet paper. Like, it's whatever.
You got like Evil Dead 2013 where that open, or no,
right.
Evil Dead Rises. Evil Dead
once
Rises.
in a while, yes, you get a fucking awesome cold open that's just so fucking cool. But the problem is that as a writer, you have to bring that cold open home later. There has to be a reason why that cold open
So
hit.
they kind of explain that.
Kind of, yes,
Yeah.
but they didn't land. They didn't land the landing.
Oh, and we'll get into a lot of that. Yeah.
And then you cut to the most fucking overused scene in cinema history. The fucking teenager staring out the window, not happy about where she's going, and dad's trying to give her a pep talk about how this new place is going to be awesome. I get it, people. This movie's a fucking homage. But fuck, the best way to do an homage is not to just shot by shot copy what you're trying to like say is awesome. The point of an homage is to add to it, to make it better, or to really bring it home that like
Friday the 13th, Sean Cunningham and them said, "Yo, how do we make Halloween again?" But we got it was the POV shit. It was a different setting though. It was somewhere else, and
they tried. This doesn't try. It's just like, this is what we've seen. This is what we're doing. Let's just fucking follow the playbook, kids.
See, and I think it was more. This is the way I see this, and please forgive me if I'm about to offend the fuck out of anybody, but I got to be very honest because there's no other way I really know how to be anymore. Somebody sat down and said, your book will probably get published faster if you have a same-sex relationship, something like I saw elements about, authority and police, corruption, political corruption, things like those, tradition, and you find those certain elements and you lay those out, and then you say, okay, now build a movie around it.
Yes. Those elements are awesome in a movie like Escape from New York.
Yes.
Where you're completely caught up in the story and they're giving you those things, but in a way that like you're not like, well, thank you. I've hit every item on this menu.
Right.
This one was just by the
feel, book. At the B, and I guess woke, for lack of a better word, when the woke term first started coming around, it was about a lot of different things. And recently, on an episode of South Park, and it hit me when I was watching the episode of South Park. One of the dudes was like, "Yo, we can't take anything to the extreme either way. Maybe we're all going too far in too many directions. Like we can't go to the extreme." And I feel like in our current technological age, shit spreads like fast wildfires, and the people with the money are like, okay, this is what they're talking about. Put everything fucking in there, and it'll appease everybody all at once, regardless of the story and shit like that. I'm still mad at Jason Blum for fucking Black Christmas 2019, 2018, whatever it was. But I mean, I'm not really fucking mad at the guy, but you know what I mean? There is a money game that is so much bigger than people appreciate in Hollywood in that. I mean, the money really makes the movies in so many ways.
There's no artisticness anymore. Yeah. And all the artists are saying that too.
It's we get shit like Sinners though, that's fucking hot fire. There are things out there, they're just not what they used to be. We
but you have to make
Marvel world, dude, that they were like, we can make how much money?
Well, your movie that you just said, Sinners, dude, that's because of Marvel. If that dude didn't make Wakanda Forever and that didn't take off the way it did, Sinners never happens.
Well, maybe, but you're right. The money, you're right. The money behind it. Ryan Coogler had, because him, but you saw the talent in Fruitvale Station when he was still a young filmmaker telling a fucking story that punches you, addresses political and social economic type things, but doesn't force feed it to you and be like, hey, here's everything, and just diarrhea all over your face.
Which is what this was, diarrhea in your face.
A lot of
people are into that.
Some people are. I mean,
not you and me.
Me and Josh he made me watch Slaughter Vomit Dolls, and that's a whole puke fetish movie. And fuck if that's not a real thing, dude, that people like. So back to the movie. She goes to school. The bad kids are all like fucking tough, and they make YouTube videos, and it boils down to the kids hate the parents and the parents hate the kids. And they do explain it a little bit later on. They say once every 30 years or something, a generation, we got to clean the slate. You get a bad seed or a bad crop of apples and stuff like this. And so they blamed it on the hippies. There was a hobo train that came in the 30s, and they killed all the hobos. And then there was the hippies in the 60s. and then it would eventually be this group that was the absolute worst. This was one of my biggest issues, was that I've been across a lot of the United States. Most of them I think I've seen. They're all about tradition, all about the way it's been from 100 years ago, because we're coming up on the 100 years of Founders Day, when Kettle Springs was founded by Cole's great grandfather, and he started the fucking syrup business, the corn syrup business. They are extraordinarily ethnic diverse for people who are turn of the century America people, like so sold on tradition and all these things. And I'm just like, this is like, and that's where I feel like if you're going to explore an idea, pick one, because I'm picking, like, by the time I'm thinking about something, they're throwing something else at me. And I'm like, but that doesn't make sense with what you said before. You know, it's like you're just kind of dropping these things like, oh, this is what you need. And it didn't make a lot of sense. But they're gonna, you know, they have done this since the founding of Kettle Springs. Is when there's a bad batch of children, they kill them all off, or hobos in some cases. If you happen to be homeless and you found a nice place to stay, probably weren't bothering anybody. These people are just kind of fucking crazy. But the big thing is that just recently the factory burned down and a lot of people lost their jobs. The sheriff says something about somebody's brother took their own life when killed himself. And even then, I'm like, you could explore that whole fucking topic. Like, why are you so attached to a job that losing it makes you kill yourself or go somewhere and murder everybody that you used to work with?
Right.
And we live in that world. That's the real world, you know? And I'm like, but they're like, oh, yeah. So this, and the answer to all of it is violence. And not just a little bit of violence, but a lot of violence. All the townspeople hate the fucking kids. They look at them. They are pulling pranks all the time. These kids are pieces of shit. They should, you know,
100%. They deserve everything they got.
a lot of it. I feel like you know, consequences, actions and consequences. And they got blamed for burning the factory down. They've got all these YouTube videos are all about the likes. She comes to town. Janet's like, fucking, you're the new pretty girl, huh? And her and Cole are all sneaking up next to each other. They pull a prank on her, and they all open up like, hey, we do all these fucking funny pranks. Isn't it great? And then again, I'm like, this world, and even her at one point, her dad's like, I'll go pick up some groceries. She's like, what about the fucking Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
She was picking the Wi-Fi over sustenance.
Yeah.
Picking the Wi-Fi over the sustenance. And all of these kids are hyper fixated on becoming stars on the internet, or, you know, those dopamine hits of fucking likes and all this stuff. And they're doing it at the expense of other people, which we've seen. We've seen this happen in the real world, you know, where a prank goes wrong. Somebody's in the suicide forest in Japan, and all of a sudden shit's real, you know, like things go bad and people hurt people, you know, unintentionally. Sometimes you know, other times we're like, hey, here's fuck two burritos, bums fight each other, you know, like we were the generation of bum fights, dude. Like
Yeah.
that was us coming up, or backyard brawls and shit like that. But these kids are doing murder reenactments. They're dressing up like Friendo, and then blah, 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 because there have been stories, you know, of Friendo, clearly, because these people over the course, they've hit a lot of bodies, this town, and they've kept people very tight on tradition. And that's why I'm like, man, this tradition don't seem exactly right. Like, it doesn't line up with, I guess, what the American ideology would have been at the time in the middle of the country. Either way, that's neither here nor there. So the next big fuck up is when first they all go to detention, then they go to jail because the sheriff's big bad fucking brr, 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 brr. He goes to jail, and that's the dude I was talking about. I was thinking from Mike and Molly, the sheriff character. And he's like, stay away from them kids. They're fuck bad seeds. So they take her, go make some videos. Cole drives her home drunk. His dad's like, what the fuck? Go home, kid. He's like, I only had two. He's like, that's two way too many for somebody your age. Da 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 da. He keeps they have a great friendship, relationship, whatever. They keep talking back and forth. He convinces her to sneak out. And then I want to say who Matt goes, or Tucker goes first, and he's playing drums in his basement, boom, boom, boom. But whenever something is happening, he looks at his Ring doorbell or whatever, and there's somebody in a clown mask. They assume it's their friends making more content for the YouTube channel or for whatever they're doing. And
Still,
so,
Jack in the Boxes keep showing up.
right, the tiny ones, the Bay Pen fucking windups, ding, 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 ding. Clown.
Now, if you had one right now on your desk, is the first thing you're going to do pick it up and wind it to completion?
No. But I
No.
will tell you, I was kind of upset at the end because Cole is all like tied up there at the end, and shit with the rope around his neck. And he's like, you guys don't even care about the planet. You just shit all over it. And then she just throws her litter right out the window at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, way to care about the fucking planet. Way to care about the planet. But no. So our first guy, he gets, and the kills are good in this. And again, it's well acted. Yeah, he's running around with a dart gun, getting ready to shoot people. He gets taken out. I think he gets his throat slashed and just bleeds out all over. And this is all happening over the course of a day or two. It's really fast when everything goes down. And the next up to get killed is Matt. And he's pounding Pilsners in the garage and ripping two plates.
Who does that, dude?
Two
He's
plates.
working out, drinking beers, dude.
I
Like,
used to, dude. When I was in the
did
military,
you?
yeah, we would work out and drink beer. But yeah, he's ripping plates and shit. And he even thinks the same thing. There's a little box shows up and he's like, oh, somebody trying to fuck with me. Well, if you're taking video, check this out. And he's pumping one, two, three. And then all of a sudden, squeak it behind him. And you've got Friendo looking down at him and he's like, oh, good prank, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then Friendo puts a handsaw over top of the bar, shoves it down. His head flies off, goes into the cooler with the Pilsners, and yeah, it's closed. The other one, two, three, four, believe that these two are staying away because they're planning a prank. Oh, we forgot the parade day prank, though, when they accidentally lit the fucking thing on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, they light the float on fire and Friendo falls all over people like when they're in jail. The drunk bums like, don't fuck with Friendo. But we jump now forward a little bit and there's a big after Founders Day party that the high school kids always have. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. I got all this money. My fucking dad, we're rich and shit like that. And it's a dope party. They always are. And
Always, but I'm like looking at it, I'm like, okay, so who was responsible enough to set this up all afternoon and hang all these decorations and get these
right.
kegs and shit? Because all the kids, we've been with them the whole time. They didn't fucking hang one streamer.
The entire time. He paid somebody. They got a DJ. They've got all this stuff going on. He goes up there and gives a speech.
Who gets to fucking do a speech at their party, dude?
Well,
And if you do that, you're an asshole.
and not only that, but his speech was like, they are the past of Kettle Springs and we are the future. We gotta, there's this huge division that are both just like monster egos punching each other. It's like the politics in our country right now is what this movie felt like.
Yeah.
It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault for everything in my life. Everything in my life is the other person's fucking fault. And I promise you, that will not take you very far in the world. But they are constantly battling against each other. We get out to the party. The girls are like, and there's some funny shit. There's some moments in here, like with the head. I thought that was clever.
Here's the thing. This movie for me is two pieces of a movie. The first half of it is an homage to horror. The second half of it, once we get to this party, the entire tone turns.
Yes.
Characters turn. Our main character, our main girl, becomes like Ash all of a sudden.
Right. But
And
they can't use a fucking rotary phone. Can't figure out.
Right. I will say I fully enjoyed the second half more because I was like, okay, here's the Tucker and Dale humor that
Yes.
this guy is known for. This is when he takes off. But we needed that through the whole movie.
And
I mean, I guess the
studio
tone was there.
control, dude. It
What's
could have
that?
been,
Oh, yeah.
studio control. Like, hey, no, we can't have, because you're right. Tucker and Dale, in my opinion, is one of the best horror comedies ever made, dude.
Completely agree with you.
I've seen
And
it
that-
probably 30, 40, 50 times, and I laugh my fucking ass off every single time.
Right. And that thing from the very beginning picks up and then just goes the whole movie. This
You also
movie
got
felt
fucking Alan Tudyk doing his thing, man. And Alan Tudyk is, they're both fucking great in that movie, but Alan Tudyk has proven himself time and time again to be a fucking rock star of a talent.
Tyler Labine, the other guy, I
He's
fucking
amazing,
loved him
dude.
since back in Reaper, dude, on WB.
He's super funny. There was another one he did that was I liked the cabin maybe or the honeymoon cabin where him and his it was shortly after Tucker and Dale. It's not quite to the Tucker and Dale, I think, but it was really good. And
Yeah.
he's another one that I just think, yeah, kind of hilarious. Like who's the dude from Balls of Fury? Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he's another one of Dan Fogelberg. If I see him
Dan
pop up,
Fogelberg.
yeah, if I see him pop up, I'm like, I'm watching it. Like this
Yeah.
is just funny. Like, you know what I mean? He's just got it. Whatever he does, it's pretty funny in my eyes.
So I was on board for the tone shift here, but it was jarring. I
Yeah.
was like ready to be like, okay, I'm making it through this movie. And I was like, okay, now I'm on board for what they're doing. But it was just so weird. I was just like,
And
ugh.
we haven't really got into Rust yet. Like we only met Rust at the beginning. He showed up to knock on Quinn's door and say, "Hey, I'll walk you to school. It's your first day." And he's like, "Be careful who you hang out with. There's fucking weirdos out here." And even she's like, "Oh, what's there to do for fun?" He's like, "I don't know. You like hunting and fishing? Ducks are in season." Like he's just a likable dude. And we learn that him and because Quinn and tries to hook up with Cole, she drags him off and he pushes her away. And the other two come out like, oh, he rejects anybody. Nobody knows why whatsoever. Turns out him and Rust used to go hunting, and hunting meant, fucking let's go do it. Yeah, didn't fully understand. And this came so fast and hard and then just dissipated. He's like, why won't you just be who you want to be? All right, let's rig this thing for a fucking bomb. I was like, wait a second, like this could be a great thing, as the world was trying to be more accepting of all these different things and relationship types and whatnot. And I liked that Rust wasn't presented, as your typical gay character. Like neither of
Yeah.
them were really presented as, the like you said, in a lot of 80s 90s slashers there was the token black guy. In a lot of cinema up until recent years you had the token gay person that
Right.
was the gay friend or whatever. So I thought like if any of this they could have pulled apart a lot more, and I think there was some more of that in the book. I mean, whenever you're in a book there's always going to be more, but I was just like, what the fuck, man? Like it's like you said, jarred me almost. I was
Yeah.
like, this is crazy. But right before this, we see somebody get shot. She comes out the cornfield with an arrow in her back, and they're like, "Oh, fuck Gabby or whoever," like, and start pinging on it, like, boing, boing. Oh, that's a great effect, you guys. And then somebody from the cornfield's like, and chucks a head. They realize that it's Matt's head or Tucker's head, one of the two, and they're like playing with it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they made a plaster, cast of the head. There's blood flying all out of the neck. They're tossing it back and forth, and she's holding it up like, "Oh hey, honey, da 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 da." Meanwhile, Quinn reaches down, checks the pulse on this other girl, and is like, "I think she's fucking dead." And then, we gotta go. DJ guy comes running out, like, "Hey, what's up?" Arrow straight through the eye. And
Yeah.
now we've got them trying to get to the barn. They shut the barn on them and they're like, "Nope, sorry, no more room at the inn. Go have your baby somewhere else. This ain't
Yeah.
gonna work." They take off the other way, but it's not long. Or no, Rust saves them. They come running around the corner and Rust has a shotgun. Boom, and Rust is big. Like he's taller than the corn. I'm surprised they couldn't just look out and be like, "Where's that kid's head?" Because he's a big dude.
Well, and this is the point where we find out that there's not just one friendo that's doing the killing. They
Right.
have a bunch of friendos come out of the corn, and you're like, oh, holy shit, they're everywhere.
With all kinds of weapons, chainsaws, baseball bats with spikes on them, knives, cleavers. They start closing in a little bit. Fucking bang. Russ takes one of their hands off. Completely gone. Great effect. Super
Yeah,
cool.
that was one of my favorite parts, honestly. I just love a good something turns to mist,
Right.
whether it's a head or a hand, it gets blown to mist.
Exploded. Not in street trash. That got blown to like purple and green oozing goo, which was also cool. But he takes off one of their hands and Cole shows back up. They decide they have to stay in the shed. There's a steel door in the shed. The friendos are all around them. This is where we get and all three of the girls were like, "Oh, it's like you were just so smart, but you're so fucking stupid. You've known this kid your whole life." And maybe he did hide it, incredibly well. I'm not going to speak for everybody who has ever had to come out or anything like that. But I'm like, these, it seems like, and they live in a very progressive world. Like, I need my Wi Fi, I need my YouTube, I need this.
Right.
Like, current day, it seems strange that he would be holding on to that. So both of them would be holding on to that so tightly, out maybe outside of their friend group, but
Yeah.
not, you know, I feel like that's information that might have been shared. But again, you only get it for 2 seconds. Oh yeah, I love you. Gone. They they rig a tractor with propane and fertilizer. Russ is like, go through the fucking shit pipe, get out the other side. I'll distract them because they're chopping through this thing with axes and whatnot. And they send the thing out, explodes everywhere. They all get out of the shit pipe squeaky clean.
Yeah, they do.
I've seen drainage ditches, dude. I've had to work in fields. You know, I live in the Midwest where the shit's everywhere. You wouldn't come out of a shit pipe like that. That they just been spraying stuff in that shed down into the fucking thing. You know what I mean? Like whatever gross and nasty everywhere. And it's been festering down there. And they come out squeaky clean, like, we gotta fucking run. And as far as we know now, Rust is gone. So we have Janet, Ronnie, and Ronnie's funny.
Ronnie is funny. She's like, I'm covered in blood. It's all fucked up. She's like, based on horror movie tropes, I'm next.
Yeah. Yeah, Ronnie was good. Again, though, I don't want to take away from these performances. I feel like if
They brought it, dude. The main girl brought it, but she becomes this like funny, quirky hero at the end that like everything that led up to it did not give us that
and
character.
I got to thinking about my final girls, and I'm like, what made those, you know, what made Jamie Lee Curtis go from what she went to being able to kill
Right.
Michael? But then
She didn't earn it.
right.
Right,
And I
dude.
feel like she just didn't have the time. And that comes from so many friendos. You can't avoid 30 to 40, 50 people chasing you at the same time. You know, maybe there was 20 total, I think we had seen on the, I don't know how many, but there's a lot. And that's hard to develop a relationship with any sort of a nemesis, because in this, the nemesis is authority or the fear of change on both sides. And so you can't point like Michael is just a walking, Jason is a fucking walking embodiment of, you know, evil in a lot. Well, maybe not. Jason let some kids live and shit. Mikey let a baby live. I've read once somebody compared Jason to the Ten Commandments. They're like, he's biblical evil. Like, if you fuck, if you steal, if you drink, if you smoke, if you do these, you go. But if not, you're okay. But in this, you don't have that finger to truly point at any one specific thing.
And
So,
also somehow they talk the entire town into becoming homicidal maniacs. They're
Mhm.
just nice Christian loving families until this one time a year, every 10 years,
It's like
where they
my
decide to
daddy
murder.
taught him, and his
Yeah,
daddy taught him, and
yeah.
that's just the way we do it around here.
And we get way, you know, like you said, it was a great image seeing her spiked and then lifted up in the moonlight in the beginning. And then we get that 3 more times,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
We get a lot of stabs. We get them escaping. They're going to run to the closest farmhouse is a mile away, because where they have the Founders Eve rave or whatever is a dead zone for any cell service, which for these kids who are fucking obsessed with their phones seems weird. They'd be totally okay with, you know,
Yeah.
going out and
It's okay for this one night only. Also, you talked about fucking in a cornfield. If you're a murderer, a cornfield is about the worst fucking place to like stalk your prey because you can't see shit in a fucking cornfield.
no, dude.
You can't stalk anybody.
And the girls did it. And you're wearing big fucking clown shoes.
That honk.
A lot of cornrows are narrow, dude. Like there's not a ton of space. Yeah, and this guy had been hot as fuck under that mask. Now that you're talking about it,
And running for a mile.
right? Squeaky, squeaky. And so the girls, though, the girls and Cole get to the road, and Sheriff shows up. Cole's standing there with a shotgun, and Sheriff takes just Cole away. He's like, "You got the fucking gun," and he's like, "Fuck you, girls, stay out here." Ronnie's like, "Arrest me! Like, just take me with you, please. I don't want to be out here." They take off, continuing to run into the corn. One of the friendos shows up when they get pretty close to the farmhouse. She does pull a quick one, and it's like, yo, let's just sit down right here for a second. And that's the thing, too. You said tonally. It's like at some point she's brilliant. You know what I mean? And at other times, or all the kids, like sometimes they're so smart. Other times just fucking ignorant. I'm like, that just doesn't, it didn't feel like the characters were fully fleshed out. Anywho, they make it to the farmhouse after Ronnie gets slaughtered. The farmhouse, there's a friendo on the chair with like half his face blown off. Whoever did this makeup, on themselves in the movie. You know what I'm talking about? The character. It's just sitting there with the TV on, looking dead and shit like that. They go inside, like, oh, hey, let's fucking go find the phone. We can hear it ringing. They go to pick it up, and somebody hangs up right away. She puts it back down, dial 911. They don't know how to use a rotary phone. She's like, ah, and gives up. Doesn't
Yeah.
even try.
Like,
Doesn't
fuck
even-
this phone. Like, throw it.
right, right. Now, would it have gotten them anywhere? I doubt it. But there's a little
Because 911 would have just rang to the sheriff who's in on the
Right.
whole fucking thing.
right. And there's a little box when they turn around. The box goes off. Pop. It was a trap. We know it's a trap, and that's where you see the news clippings of train full of hobos taken out and fucking something else. You know, a bunch of hippies died. They try to go downstairs, and there's Friendo with a pickaxe or a pitchfork and stabs Janet. Janet, this is kind of funny. She's got to take the thing out of her and stab him. And after Quinn takes it out of Janet, she's like, "Don't take it out. It fucking hurts so bad."
Yeah.
He takes it out of Janet and stabs him with it. And the clown falls next to her. And that's when she's like, "I fucking hate you, Quinn." And the guy in the friendo mask is like, "Me too." And they both just die next to each other.
Right. And then that was where I was like, okay, that was Tucker and Dale humor for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But just felt out of place here because we're like, this is coming out of left field, dude.
We're already so far into another movie. And meanwhile, Dad noticed that the doctor's office he now runs got broken into, goes in. There's a friendo there with another friendo with no hand. Is like, "You're going to fucking fix this guy." And then we got that story for a little while, them going back and forth. Dad has no problem switching over to, well, he did tell him, he's like, "Leave that knife in your neck. I stabbed you in the spot where I could fucking fix
I
you."
loved that scene. He's
Yeah.
like, and the guy pulls it out and he goes, "Oh, I told you." And it's like squirting out. And he's like, "See, now you're gonna bleed to death."
right, right. And but he had gotten the radio off the other guy, trying to figure out what was going on. Quinn gets pulled out of the back of a truck where she can't drive a stick. That's a big thing. Like, and she even screams, like, "If your dad ever wants to teach you, make sure you do it." I'm like, "Are you talking to us? You're
Right.
breaking the fourth wall right now
Yeah.
to tell us to?" Or is that something somebody would scream out loud, like, "If your dad tells you to do it, then do it." I don't know. It seemed
I felt like that was a rip-off joke because I felt like it was the Ghostbusters joke. Like, if someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
gotcha.
And it works in
Gotcha.
Ghostbusters. And this, it was just out of left
Because
field. And
I
so
didn't
you're
even
like,
put that together.
oh, really?
Yeah, and that's, like you said, in Ghostbusters, it was funny as shit though.
Yeah.
Because he just got fucking you die. But in this, yeah, it just doesn't work. She gets surrounded by friendos, pulled out through the back. She wakes up to find they are in the factory. I'm pretty sure they're in the Baypen. I think it was called Baypen factory. She sees the sheriff, the teacher that was a prick, the waitress at the diner, and there might have been one other friendo. I'm not sure.
It was
And
the
then
dude from the
Cole's dad.
convenience store that they stole the boots
Oh.
from in the beginning.
Yes, and we even saw the kids being so respectful, leaving like double the amount of money on the counter and stuff. And I'm like, you're doing that, but then at the same time, you're fucking ruining all these people's lives, and not.
And it's the only store in their fucking town. So now they can't go buy lunch meat. Again, ripped this fucker off the last time they were there.
Right. Everybody that looks at him is just like, pieces of shit.
The waitress was ridiculous. She's like asking the dad for his order. She's like, "What do you want, honey?" And then she looks at the girl and she's like,
Right. You don't get anything. And even the sheriff calling her sweetheart, and every time she'd look like, "Oh." In the real world, you could be like, maybe, I don't know, could you please not call me that? "Oh, hi, my name is so and so." But they're just so aggressive towards each other, but they blamed their situations on the other party.
and I mean, I get that. That's kind of
To
what's
an
going on in the
extent.
country right now.
But it's
it
not a good
doesn't.
thing. You see how ugly it is. Look around our country. You see
Right.
how ugly it is. It doesn't do anything. And
Right.
I do understand, though, we've talked about this. Does the art represent life or life represent art? Who knows? But in this case, it just doesn't really work effectively either way, I think. I don't think it really does either side. So now we're in the warehouse, and Cole's dad has cool fucking makeup on. He's clearly fucking insane. And the thing is, we're going to shoot Quinn, and Cole's up on the thing with a bandana around his mouth and a noose around his neck, standing on a van or something like that. And he drops his mask, his bandana down so that it's in between the noose and his neck. But he also gives this great big talk about you're the worst and you're killing the whole planet and you don't even fucking like us and you don't understand anything and you're gonna get left behind in the past because we're the future and da 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 da. And it's like, fuck, you're the worst of them all, kid. Like his dad ready to fucking kill him. And then the sheriff's got the shotgun to Quinn and he's like, yup, guess end of the line. Dad fucking through the wall, saves the day, but Cole's feet are barely on top of the thing, staying there. Cole's dad's gonna kill him. The waitress has a pole through her, and she's like, "Oh shit!" Um, and we get a lot of back and forth of people arguing. Quinn gets a really cool death on the sheriff, shoving the cattle prod down his mouth. And he even says, "Oh, that's the biggest problem with your generation. You think you're smarter than you are." And she fucking turns her, she's behind him. She's like, "That's because we are." And I'm like, well, you couldn't use a rotary phone to drive a fucking stick shift. Like we all could be better, we could all figure some things out. But she does jam it straight down his throat.
What if that was the line, dude? If she was like, "We could all be better," and then she electrocutes him.
It would have made more sense with some of the comedy it would have made more sense with the comedy we got from Janet dying like, "I fucking hate you, Quinn." And the clown being like, "Me too." So we get Cole's dad trying to kill him. Meanwhile, he knocks out Quinn's dad. She comes back down. We get our reunited team of Cole because I think Rusty shows up and shoots the fuck out of somebody. I think maybe Cole's dad or someone like that. And they make out for a while. And he's like, "Oh, you're still hiding your feelings." He's like, "No, you just smell bad." And then he's like, "Whatever, fuck it." And they just start making out. I'm like, that could have been a really touching moment. But it like you said, the gravity of this kid having to hold in his identity, both of these kids, and lose their entire friendship over this shit, lose everything in this whole past, and it just gets made into a joke. It just didn't, like you said, tonally just felt all over the fucking place. They drive out. The teacher's there with his chainsaw, and they fucking smash over him. And
that was crazy, dude. She doesn't know how to drive a stick.
And then throws it into fucking the deepest you can, dude, and is gone.
Yeah, like just she would have stalled that fucker so hard. And if she didn't, then she's only in second gear. And she just plowed it, dude. And he goes apart like fucking RoboCop. Like this dude just explodes.
Splattered. Cut, jump. She is going off to college or to be somewhere else. Cole and Rust are having a good relationship. They're there to give her a baton to fight people off. And at one point, she's like, fuck, stay away from old people. And I was like, Lil Duke's gonna like that. That's sound advice.
That was true, dude. What I had a problem with is that I used to carry a baton when I was a security guard, and that shit doesn't do fucking anything.
Unless you get it just right, dude. Unless you
mostly you get your first hit in, and then that fucker like detracts and falls back into the handle, and you're like, fuck.
Right. So roll credits right before we see a little box in the back of Quinn's car. And there is a second one. I know there was because I bought the second book at the same time I bought the first one, thinking I was going to read it, and I never did. I donated it because I was like, I'm done with this. So that's Clown in a Cornfield from 2025. I think we've put a lot of our gripes already out there, so we don't need to recap a ton of them. The things we found wrong tonally, too many messages, competing messages at the same time, underdeveloped story arcs throughout, great performances, good kills, good special effects, some funny moments. But as a whole, if you like this thing, if you are really into it, I genuinely want to hear what you have to say about it because I won't fight you. You know what I mean? That's how me and this guy met right here was he said something online about the new Predator movie. And I was like, okay, tell me about it. Tell me your side of the story. I want to hear it because maybe I'm the fucking idiot who's missing something and somebody out there could help educate me. And that would be super cool. So if you could do that, please do. And let's see, out of how many too many competing plot points do you give Clown in a Cornfield?
I felt at different moments of this movie, it was like, oh, that bumped it up a little bit. Oh, they just lost it. And like I felt
Yeah.
the points going up and down. But I'm gonna say overall, I'm gonna give it a 2.5 because the second half of the movie is actually enjoyable because the comedy worked for me, even though it doesn't make sense in the context of this movie.
Sure.
Kills were great and the comedy was good, and the performances were good. So you get these points all based on not your movie.
Right. Right.
If it was the movie as a whole, it's going to be down like as a 1. But as a moment as a TikTok video, this works better where we see just little bits and pieces of it, but not as a whole movie. It sucks.
You're right though, dude. Now that you say it that way, you know what I mean? It's like just funny little quips that you would need no context around that would be
Right.
funny.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm going with a 2. I'm going with a 2. It just it had a lot of good things going for it, but it just kept aggressively fucking hitting me with weird shit in my
Yeah.
brain. Even the book was like that. I remember when I got through the book and they got to the part where it's all the parents and shit. I'm like, wait, there's a lot of friendos, and
Yeah.
then,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then you know, and it was a lot of the same arguments going throughout. But yeah, that's a 2 for me. So before we get to the next segment of the show, what do we have next week? What is on deck for the horror pop extravaganza?
Well, I'll say this as I'm looking this up is that we've got a couple movies that we should probably add to the list. I'm hearing great things about the new Final Destination.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, we should add that to the list, I think. And then I watched The Death of a Unicorn, dude, and I really liked it. So
Okay. All
add
right.
that.
We will adjust the list soon, but what do we have next week?
Pops. This is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous choice to put after the choice that we just picked.
Okay.
You picked It Chapter 1 and 2.
I think that was probably very intentional because when I saw that pop up when I was like, yo, um, I just watched Clown in a Cornfield. I need to watch something a little more like straight clown terror.
All
And
right.
the nice thing is about it, chapter 1 and 2, is I've seen them quite a few times. I've read the book cover to cover. That is a great fucking book, man. But it's not something that I would expect people to watch both of those, but more just a general overview of, you know, why those things work and the ideas that come with this galactic nefarious force, you know, and space turtles and shit like that. So
It just turned into Nicholson for a minute there.
nice space turtle. I like the I like it 1 and 2. So that'll be yeah, maybe it was just a breath of fresh air so we don't lose too many people. All right. So the pause for the living. Let us pause for the living. Comes from last night and maybe the night before. I don't know, but I have been rereading The Lord of the Rings because I went through and made a list for my book, suggested reading list. That was like, this is, you know, it's not all encompassing, but I'm like, this is the shit that really probably had the biggest impact on me. And it's like 77 books.
A lot of
It's
books.
and I could probably put even more on there, but I did separate them into like categories of thought, you know. So I wouldn't never expect somebody to read all that. But The Lord of the Rings is on that list.
When do you find time to read? Because from the things I hear, you're constantly doing things.
So I usually read, it is my habit to read 1.5 to 2 hours every single night.
Really?
Read
Before
from,
bed?
yeah, I'll read from like 10 till midnight and then
Well,
put my
see, I
book
need to
down.
go to sleep.
Well, then you get into bed earlier. You know, for me, midnight's a good time. 8 hours is 8 a.m. That's relatively when I kind of get up anyway. But I read for, yeah, try 2 hours a night, hour and a half, 2 hours a night if I can. And I've been doing it for so long that I almost can't sleep unless I have something to read. I was at my mother-in-law's house and I forgot my book at home and I was like, oh, fuck. And I had to go ask her, I'm like, you got any books? She's like, what do you want? I was like, anything. I was like, it doesn't matter. I just need to read because it helps me to, do my thing. But Lord of the Rings, our stepdad, the chess playing, kind of hippie type-ish guy in my youth, put us on to Lord of the Rings really early on in life. I think I read The Hobbit in the fifth grade was the first time that I read it. But I was reading The Two Towers last night, and I came across this piece of monologue, or not monologue, or dialogue from Aragorn, and this is right after they had met the riders of Rohan or Rohan. Don't yell at me, shit. But the riders of Rohan, and he says, "Good and ill have not changed since yesteryear, nor are they one thing among elves and dwarves, and another among men. It is a man's part to discern them, as much in the golden wood as in his own house." And the golden wood, is a spooky place where all kinds of shit happens. But I love that. Like good and ill. So think about it, like good and bad have never changed since yesteryear. So they've never been different. They're the same in the past. They're the same. I shouldn't even say good and bad, but good and ill, like good fortune, ill fortune, have never changed since yesteryear. And they are completely the same among the elves, the dwarves, and men. He's saying like it's no different. Like what we are going through is no different. It doesn't feel different for an elf. It doesn't feel different. Pain doesn't feel different for a dwarf. It doesn't feel different for a man. And I love it is a man's part to discern them as much in the golden wood as in his own house. And I believe in his own house, he's talking about himself. You got to make sure your own shit's good on the inside. But that jumped out at me. I was like, holy shit. Like, thanks, Lord of the Rings, for giving me the pause for the living section because it's with that mindset, a mindset like that, it is so much easier to be compassionate because you see the similarities and not the differences when you look at other people. You see that pain is the same, love is the same, joy is the same, thirst is the same, hunger is the same. All of those things are exactly the same between every single one of us. It's just the stimuli on the outside, that triggers whatever the feeling is. But it is up to us, according to fucking Strider, the greatest ranger probably who ever existed in any literary form, to take the time and discern between the two and choose which way you want to go. And that means looking inward at the same time. You need to look at yourself and say, this is everything is on me. Extreme ownership. And that's a hard concept for a lot of people. Extreme ownership. Everything is your fault. And that's another book on the list is Extreme Ownership. That one got me. Them Navy SEALs, they were some fucking strategic thinking people. Very strategic. But in this case, it's, you just, I don't know, it opens the world up. It's like I see everything is so similar. If I made a list and said, okay, these are the things that we have alike and these are the things that are different, I know the list like would go on longer than the different thing, probably just physiologically. Biologically, we both have hearts, we both have lungs, we both have hands, both have fingers, both have this, both have that, both have. You could go on and on. We both felt the same pain, love, joy, maybe to differing degrees, but the same kind of hurt. Everybody's been hurt at some point. Everybody's felt good at some point. I like to think that most people have felt love at some point, but there might be those super rare cases where someone was, from childhood trapped in a fucking nightmare. Let's try not to be the people who put people in nightmare situations. So that was my pause for the living, just diving into the Lord of the Rings and highlighting that even, Tolkien, I think, just had this great ability to convey. I mean, the dude built a whole world, dude. Like
Yeah.
built Middle Earth, the mountain ranges, all the people, their languages, going through the orcs and shit. It's like the Isengard orcs talk different than the northern orcs. There's different dialects, so they land on a common tongue because they all said, I'm like, he wrote all this shit. That's it's impressive. It's wild. So, do you have anything else you would like to add to the pause for the living segment?
Absolutely. So I went through an interesting study, I guess, this week of like, so I had my orientation for my new job, and they basically were like, break into people, like break into groups of people that you're sitting next to, and I want you to come. I'm going to give you 12 minutes, and you need to come up with three things that you guys have in common. So
was this like a group orientation? Like were there
it was a
more
group orientation.
Okay,
Yeah.
so more new hires and stuff are with you. Gotcha. Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
all new hires. These all people coming into the college, but it's a college, so they were everyone from like we had a facilities guy that's going to cut the grass to like a PhD who's going to be teaching
Sure.
doctorate students. So they put me with this girl that I'm sitting next to, and she's a 20-year-old lesbian missionary student, and I'm like, I have nothing in common with you. let's talk, and like she's
Yeah.
the same, you're a 47-year-old fat guy that that I don't understand what your job here is going to be. And but we talked and we came to like an understanding that like it's if you try for 12 minutes, you can find three things that you have in common with another person that's a complete stranger, because
Easy.
fundamentally we all want and need the same things, and you say that all the time. And everything in social media and on television and in politics is about making us feel like we're alone and we're isolated, and that you can't join other groups or other kinds of people, that you're not gonna it won't work if you try to branch out into groups of other people, and it's not fucking true. And right now, we're in a spot where we need to all come together, and we need to find commonality, not in our being a Republican or a Democrat or being gay or straight, but in being people, and that
Right.
our needs as people aren't being met. And the only thing, we can't rely on governments or religion or anything else to fix that for us, because they're institutions, and those are institutions that from the beginning of time have been built and set up to separate us.
Right.
So we need to stop that. We need to understand that like we're all on the same team. And I see that with like the ICE detention raids and people stopping them, dude, and spray painting FBI vehicles windows to prevent people from being
Right.
taken. That's beautiful, dude. And we need fucking more of that.
And we have to see, even in that situation, and it's hard. I remember there was a book by Thich Nhat Hanh I read, and he was talking about this little Somali pirate that raped a woman, him, and he was like 11 or 12 years old or something like that, this little kid. And it was all he ever knew. You know what I mean? It was all he knew. But even that kid has felt all the same things. Those ICE people are probably just scared as shit of everything that's going on. But it is, I think, like you said, any kind of radical ideology, anything that you are so certain and just concrete, there is good in all of it. I believe there's good politicians. I believe there's good churches. I believe there's good whatever. But on the flip side, and that's where the discernment, I think, comes in. Like, is this person coming from a good place, regardless of what they're saying? Does it come from a genuine, place? And if not, then, they might just be trying to fucking jump in bed with the devil and fucking, hey, guy. Oh, yeah.
You want to maybe touch my penis?
Right. I can't even see it.
But yeah, if your heart is made of shit, everything you do is going to stink.
I love that, dude.
Yeah.
I love that. If your heart's made of shit, everything you do is going to stink. And I will close out with this, is I did read a study one time that said any two people, if you were to take a Black Panther and a KKK person, just one of each, and you put them down across the table from each other for long enough, they almost always find common ground. But as soon as there's two or more on either side, it starts to get fucking crazy. When we're one-on-one with people, it's so much easier. But when we start grouping up and being like this, and then it gets bigger, and then it starts getting really out of control. All right, next week we've got It Chapter 1 and 2, and I'm actually excited. I'm gonna rewatch both of them. I might do it back to back and just do the full. I think that's a good way to do it. Is just do the kind of like with Kill Bill and shit like that. I'll always try and do the back to back. So until next time, I've been Pops Ghostly,
And as always, I'm Little Duke Spooky.
No! No! No!
Horror Pop Extravaganza.